Here's a little update on the Reader's Digest junk journal, where I am planning to use a lot of the Ukrainian images that I got from Victor. In the last video, I showed you some of the decals that I was making, the Omni Gel decals, and how I prepped the journal by gluing some pages together. And I've gotten a little bit further, but then I got sidetracked. So here's where we are and where we're going. I've gone through and I've glued some random stuff here and there, just some bits and pieces, because that's usually how I like to work, is just take an image, tear it up, and then glue it in some places, rather than completing one page at a time. But I did go ahead and complete a page. I just saw it. Here it is. Now, before I did this, okay, I haven't done a lot of vintage theme stuff in a while, and it's really not my natural habitat, because I like a lot of color and paint and woohoo, you know, that kind of thing. But I do enjoy this, and I thought that I could do it if I remembered how. So I got a little, this is index card. It's actually a Rolodex card. I've got a thing. I have this old Rolodex deal that I got at a thrift store, and it holds the 3x5 cards, and occasionally I visit it, and it's usually about this time of year, you know, when iCads start up, because if I do iCads, I do them on these cards, and I've never done more than, okay, I have the dates on here. 18. In 2017, I did 18 of the iCAD, you know, prompts, and yeah, went through it. And that's really as far as I get. I'm not good at sticking to things, you know, like that. But I've got some back here from 2014, so I'm guessing this is at least from 2014, maybe earlier. And I just occasionally, you know, like I'll do 3 or 4 iCads when that challenge starts, or I'll just put extra bits and pieces on one of these cards. I'm pretty sure I've done a flip through of this. I'll see if I can find it, and then if I haven't, I will flip through, because there's some fun stuff in here. And sometimes I just put extra paint on these cards to use as a background, and then I'll go in and fill them in later. And so this, it was a blank one to start with. I got me a blank one of these, and then I just did like a little test run just to see if I could still do vintage. Well, apparently I can. It worked. It was a little difficult for me to, you know, back off a little bit on the paint and other stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed it. This is a Ukrainian image, and this textile is a Ukrainian image, and then everything else is just stuff from my stash, a rubber stamp image. So I did that, worked out well, so I went in and did one of my pages. And, you know, it's got a couple of Ukrainian images, and then the rest is stuff from my stash, a rubber stamp, some little ephemera bits. I left a little bit of the original book text showing. It's got some washi tape, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. But while I was doing this, I discovered that I really needed to get my stuff really together. I kind of had it together, but it wasn't as together as I needed it to be. And this might not be an issue if, you know, you haven't been doing this very long, or you've got limited space and don't have a huge collection of stuff. This, like, I've been doing this 30 years, y'all. This whole, you know, paper crafting of one kind or another. So I got stuff. I got way more stuff than anyone needs. And I think I'm at the point in my life where my stuff's starting to overwhelm me. And I've got some ideas for what to do about that, but I don't want to mess with it now. Anyway, here's what I found that I needed to do. As I was getting stuff together to use for this, you know, whole vintage theme thing that I want to do, I needed to have my stuff where I could, you know, it was kind of together, so I'm not all over my art room digging through bins and boxes and files and stuff. Here's what I came up with. I had this empty binder, and I had a whole bunch of sheet protectors. that I've picked up over the years, usually at thrift stores. And I went through and I just put everything that I thought I might use in this binder. And I'll flip through and show you what I did, and then give you some ideas for how you can adapt this. You know, if you don't have a binder, you don't have sheet protectors, there's things that you can do. So I put my little Omni-Gel decals in here. They're all, you know, wrapped up. And then I have several different kinds of sheet protectors. Like these are for their baseball card size. So some of the small things, these are, this first section is the Ukrainian images that I downloaded from Victor and printed out, some on coffee or tea stain paper and some on regular paper. But I just kind of, you know, cut them kind of down to size. The small ones I put in here, and then the larger ones I just put in these regular sheet protectors. If you don't have sheet protectors, you can use envelopes. You can make envelopes out of any kind of paper. If you don't have a 3-ring binder, you can just put your envelopes in a, you know, like a shallow box or tray or something that you can flip through, or even just a stack on the desk, whatever works. So don't feel like that you have to run out and buy a fancy binder and a bunch of sheet protectors. You don't. Use what you've got, make it work. Just sort your things into kind of like piles, and then put those piles in a something, an envelope, a pouch, a Ziploc baggie, you know, whatever works for you. I like it to be something that I can see through, that is see-through, so that I can see through. So that's what I did. Took my printouts and put them in these sheet protectors so that I can kind of flip through. See, I've already pulled that one out. Pick it out and use it. And a lot of these are larger images, some are smaller, and if they're kind of small, and you know, because I like to do them front to back, but sometimes I'll put a piece of paper in between, so it just makes it easier to pull things out, so that when I pull these out, these don't come with it. And that's what the piece of paper in between is all about. And that's just scrap paper, or sometimes it's just a sheet. I had extra sheets of tea stain paper. So this is awesome, because I can just flip through here and I'll think, oh, I need something colorful. Well, here's my something colorfuls, and you know, I need a full sheet of something, so they're up front. And then we get back here to the people. So I used, again, the baseball card size thing to put the small people images in. And then I had this weird, these are like made to hold photographs or something. They're like bound sheet protectors that are bound together, several pages, and then each page has these different size slots for pictures. So I just put whatever fit into those slots. So I've got all my people pictures right here. And then just the other day, okay, room to grow. You know, you need room to grow. I was, when I started putting my page together, you know, that first page that I did in the book, that was super helpful, because that helped me to see what I was wanting to add and didn't have available. So I went online to, is mostly from the Graphics Fairy, because she has really cool vintage printables, high resolution, for free. I think she has some kind of like membership program now where you can get, you know, special stuff, but just her free stuff is awesome. So, and it took me quite a while to, you know, find stuff that I wanted, printed it out, and then, oh my gosh, the fussy cutting. I was in fussy cutting hell, y'all, because I don't like it, but I fussy cut like crazy. I did like some butterflies, some nature birds and stuff, and these are just some other printables that I had in my stash from a long time ago. I found some tags. I don't think this was Graphics Fairy. It was someplace else. You just have to do a search for free printables, and there's people who have blogs and things, and sometimes they'll have free printables. So just make sure that they're free, and you know, and I do make sure that they're kind of a high resolution so that they'll print clear. So that's those. This is a little bitty, this has little bitty pouches. If I, end up with some little bitty stuff, I should put like my little insects in there. And then these are long skinny, probably used to be for film negatives. I had a couple things that went in there. And then this is some of the old ephemera that I pulled from my own stash. So I've got some of it here. And then some extra papers. This is some rust stained paper, some music sheets, and then I went through and found my eco prints that I did with Rosemary once upon a time. Yeah, I thought some of those might look really nice. They have kind of muted colors, but they're still color. And I think I said before, I didn't want everything just shades of brown. I'd like a little pop of color here and there. And those are some old water slide decals. This is some more Graphics Fairy free printables. And I just chose images that were kind of like the look and feel that I wanted. And downloaded those, printed them out. I love these botanical prints like this. So yeah, she had some really good ones. These are all rub-ons from my stash. And then remember, I had stamped out the rubber stamp images, the rubber stamps that I pulled, stamped them all out. So I put them in here so that I can flip through them. And then I used this, like when I did this page. Okay, here was my thought process, because it was really naked up here. And I kept putting like washi tape and, strips of stuff, and it just wasn't working. So I went, okay, rubber stamp. I knew I needed long and skinny. That was my only criteria. So, I opened this, and my very first page, oh look, something long and skinny. So that's the stamp that I chose. So yeah, this worked really well. Grabbed this stamp part of it here, and then just kind of went here and there with the rest of it, had a little bit of ink on it. So yeah, this really worked well for me. And then I just have some extra paper and extra sheet protectors. And then these clear stamps I just stuck right there. So this is like my little supply stash, supply journal, supply book, I don't know what to call it, for this project. And the caveat is you pull all this stuff, and then when I get finished with this, or more likely I get bored and move on to something else, then I'm gonna have to put all this away at some point. And oh well, that's just part of it. Or I may not put it away, I may just let it live here, and this is where it lives. I don't know what I'll do. But I like this. I'll show you what else I pulled. I also pulled a little stash of some washi tapes that I thought, might work. Nothing too bright, and some of them have kind of old looking things, and then some are just things I thought I might use. So yeah, I like that. And I've been adding a little bit of color with these chalk pencils. Y'all, these, I don't even think these are made anymore. But you can use any kind of chalks, chalk pastels, pan pastels, just whatever. You can use makeup, like eyeshadow. Really, it doesn't matter. These are called Carb Othello Swan something. Does that make any sense to anybody? I don't know. I don't know where I got them. There's a picture of a swan. It says swan. Oh, there's a tiny CH. Maybe it's Schwan. I don't know. It says Germany. So there is that, and they're chalks in a pencil form. They're really kind of cool. And all I did is I just wanted I needed some subtle color. Was it on this one? No, it wasn't. It was on this one. And because I added this really colorful piece, this was a Ukrainian textile image that I printed out, and it was just kind of sticking out too much. I didn't want to, you know, do the white paint on it because I didn't want to hide it that much. So I just took my little chalks and I just scribbled here and there. See? Just to add, to kind of pick up some of that color. And then I just chalk marked and then and I made that noise. And that's what I did. I'm thinking I did it in this one too. But I did. It was just, oh, it's so subtle, and it's perfectly subtle, and that's what I needed. I pulled, see, this had this green, and so I pulled a green and scribbled up here and then rubbed it. Just to add a little bit of color here and there, but not so in your face. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with those. And then I've got a bin for scraps, because you know when you're cutting and tearing and then you've got that little bit left, and it's too much to throw away, but it's not enough to put back in your supply binder, so I stick it here. And then this was, you know, like I pulled out this butterfly thinking I wanted that on the page, and it just didn't work. I tried 100 ways to make it work, and it was just irritating me, so yeah. And I'm too lazy to put it back, so it's just going to stay here in my fancy Q-tip box. I have these all over my house because we buy Q-tips in like the big 750 container. We have super clean ears in my house, y'all. You could eat off of our inner ear. Because we buy a lot of Q-tips, and we buy a lot because I really like the containers. They're just perfect for corralling your little bits or like your pins. Yeah, okay. Just put your little bits in something, and then, you know, when you need a little something, you can start here before you go back into your binder. This was that silly piece that I kept trying to make work at the top of the page before I decided it just needed a rubber stamp image. So that's how I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna save the next video for, actually I'm gonna maybe do another page or just tear some bits and, you know, put out throughout the book. I don't know what I'll do, but we're gonna work some more on this in other videos. I just wanted to show you that supply binder because it's gonna show up, and somebody had asked about it, I know. So there's an idea for you. And that is all I have for today. The end.